Today I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of the Chanel classic flap. So I have the small size right here in the caviar with gold hardware. I also have a pink one that you're probably more familiar with, but this one I'm going to show a little bit more today. The first pro about this bag is actually that it's very timeless. And you've seen this bag time and time again in so many different Instagram posts, different stories, different histories. Different celebrities talk about this bag, and also it's just a very classic style, and this was the iconic bag that made it through, because at the time when Chanel originally designed this bag, it was more like the current reissue and it was more simplistic in design, but it still had the quilted design. It didn't have the CC logo because this was an update from Karl Lagerfeld, and the straps were actually full-on metal. It didn't have the leather intertwined strap. But this rectangle shape was actually something completely new back in the day, when most of the bags back then were trapezium shapes. And these are kind of bags that you would think about the likes of Hermes, but in particular the Kelly bag. So that was a very popular shape back then. But Chanel came out with this rectangular shape and it just took the world by storm. And it's such a classic flap bag to this very day, and so many love this shape of bag, and it just spreads wide across many different brands. And the important good thing about having a timeless classic shape is that it is something that won't go outdated, and it's not something that is one of those trendy bags, something that only comes with one season and then it's suddenly out. If you buy one of these bags, it can be worn time and time again, and even 10 years down the line, which this has already stood the test of time, it will still be very relevant and you don't have to worry about it going out of season. The next good thing that I want to talk about this bag is that it actually has a pretty large capacity, even though this is a small size. And particularly the small and the mini rectangular and also the mini square, they have similar capacities, even though that the mini rectangular and the mini squares, they do have a smaller price tag. With the small size, you get more of that classic feel just because it has that double flap design. So in this design, you have the main flap at the front, and if you open it, you have one flap and the second flap, and then you can see what's inside the bag. So here we have a more similar level of storage to the mini square and the mini rectangular, just because this flap in itself takes up most of the space. But overall, for this kind of bag, this does fit quite a bit, and it fits my phone, and my phone is pretty large. I have the OnePlus 10 Pro, but this is the same size as the iPhone Pro Max, and this fits in super easily. So right there, if you insert it right in, it fits very comfortably in there. And this just makes it really easy to store your phone. And also you can fit so much more in here. You have the front flap, which sometimes I just fit in a few receipts. You have this upper zipper pocket, but historically this was meant to be for love letters, and this is where she stored them. And if you open it up, it's all at the top here. And it's more of a cute historic feature that they kept in there. And then inside, if I take this organizer out, you have quite a lot of compartments. And here you have two main pockets here, and then a lipstick pocket here, which I don't really use because every time I put a lipstick in here, it gets stuck. And because a lipstick comes in a two-part open mechanism, every time I get the lipstick out, it just takes off the lid and then it gets a bit fiddly. So I never really use that lipstick pocket, nor do I use any of the little pockets. And then over at the back, you also have the Mona Lisa smile pocket. And this is where I typically just put in my Oyster card just for good travel. And it's just a very convenient in and out, very easy to travel with. I wouldn't put anything big and bulky here because it will stick out, and I've heard horror stories of people storing their phone in here and then a lot of pickpocket situations happen. And in particular, this has so many different compartments and so many organizational features in here, because Chanel actually took inspiration from army bags where they had a lot of pockets in there. It's very organized. It's kind of like that briefcase feel to it. but she wanted all of those features inside a handbag, and this is how the classic flap was made. So very functionable, and she did keep that in mind when creating this, and now it's updated with Karl Lagerfeld's design, and it just looks beautiful. So the next thing I want to mention about the pros of this bag is the functionality of it. So this is actually one that can be worn as a shoulder bag, so just like this with the straps doubly on, and then you can wear this under the arm and it just looks really cute. Another way is that you can undo the front, pull it across, close it again, and then you can wear this as a shoulder bag. So this is a longer method, so a lot of people can wear it on the shoulder, but then a lot of people, including myself, wears it crossbody, so just like that. It's not actually meant to be a crossbody bag, but for the ease of me working around, shopping around, and just doing my own thing, having a bag that's crossbody is so much more functionable in my eyes, because I can go about my day, I can do whatever I want, I have both my hands ready, instead of worrying about a bag slipping off my shoulders. And this is like my ideal way of wearing this. But I do have a downside of wearing it crossbody, and I will get to that next. So in terms of versatility, I can wear this in 3 different ways, and it's very, very transitional. The good thing about the classic flap is that you can wear it as a more classical evening bag because it's so elegant. And another way I wear it is more casual, because even if you pair this with a pair of jeans and a t-shirt, it looks very chic, but at the same time it's casual chic. And especially if you wear this as a shoulder bag or as an underarm bag, this can be a really good evening bag because simplicity is just very elegant, and it just looks so pretty when you just take it on an evening out. Okay, so now onto the cons of this bag. And the first thing that I want to mention is that it is so expensive for this bag right now. I still remember buying my first Chanel classic flap for £5,040, and that was my pink one. Now it costs about £8,000 for one. And even when it was £5,000, I thought it was ridiculously expensive. So over the last 2 or 3 years, it just skyrocketed in terms of price increases, and I don't think that they are going to slow down in those price increases anytime soon. Big thing about price increases is that they also limit the amount of classic flaps being sold to clients, and they're giving a quota system. It's really hard to get hold of one, especially the classic colors like the black one, the beige one, and the red one. Seasonal, I think you can find it a little bit more easily, but in terms of the classic ones, it's very, very difficult. And in my eyes, I think you're better off looking pre-loved. I know it's not ideal for most, but it is an option out there if you want to have the availability and something a little bit more older, but it still is really good condition. Or you can go through the really vintage route where the quality is very, very good actually. The only downside is that it's very worn, and it's been 20 plus years for most of the good ones out there on the market. So £7,000, £8,000, would you really buy it? That's up to you. There is the option of pre-loved, or there's also the option of a lot of new Chanel classic flaps looking bags, but it's more seasonal bags, and they come at around half the price of it. The next con I want to say about this bag is that it is very, very delicate. When I wear this bag, I feel like I am babying this bag so much, because even though I have the caviar versions in both the black and the pink versions, I feel like this is still very delicate in terms of the corner wear and in terms of, probably because of the price too. But I feel like I have to baby this bag because it's so expensive for what it is. And the design of it as a whole, there is nothing about it to essentially protect it. And I've mentioned a lot of things that I know were flaws in this bag, where I saw the differences in texture. I also noticed the denting inside of the flap, where the zipper can dent inside. Sometimes the pocket doesn't really close properly because the button isn't in the right place. And especially that the base of the bag doesn't have any feet. This can easily scuff the bottom of the bag, which I have already done. in a few of my previous ones. Overall, this bag is quite hard to look after and keep it nice. It is something to be aware of, because if you are planning to purchase this bag, you got to be aware that this isn't the easiest to look after, even if you are very good at babying the bag, or you just don't wear it at all and keep it as a presentation on your shelf. And going on to my final con of this bag, and that is the weight of it, because a lot of this is hardware heavy. There is a lot of hardware on the chain, the insides, but also the double flap. This makes a lot of leather and it's very, very weighty. So this is not exactly the lightest of all bags. Even though it's such a small, delicate bag, I do love it to bits and it's such good quality. And you know when they say that a good quality bag does have some weight to it? I have a love-hate with that, because sometimes when you do want it to weigh a bit more, when you actually wear the bag, it's not that comfortable at all, because this chain strap tends to just dig into my shoulder, and especially when I wear this crossbody and on a single strap, it just really digs into my shoulder. So I do have to even it out by wearing it on my shoulder, underarm, because it just distributes the weight a little bit better. But in terms of wearing this for the whole day, it does hurt my back a little bit because it does weigh so much. And even without anything in here, this is pretty weighty. So that is a small overview of the Chanel classic flap, and I hope this is very informative on the good sides and the bad sides of this bag, because I have spoke about the little niggles in there before, and I hope that this helps you decide whether you should get one or not. And if you want to check out more of those videos on my Chanel classic flaps, then click over here and I will see you there. Bye!